Okay, so I'm looking at the severe weather forecast for today. And anywhere in the gray is a general thunderstorm risk. There's no severe weather threat, just general thunderstorms, garden variety storms for this time of year. Anything in that green is a 1 out of 5. That's a marginal risk for severe weather. Doesn't mean you can't have it, just means your chances are lower. That yellow is a 2 out of 5. So, you're looking more likely for severe weather. The biggest threat for the strongest is in that kind of orangish, brownish looking color. That's an enhanced risk. 3 out of 5. That's where the majority of the storms are going to be at their worst. This is for today. The tornado threat is primarily in Kentucky up into Indiana and Ohio. Now, that is a significant chance for tornadoes. That's a 10% risk. Down in my neck of the woods in northern Tennessee, although it's still a chance, it's a 5% chance. And then anywhere outside of that in the green is a 2% chance of tornadoes to develop. So the real big area is going to be in that yellow. And that is a significant chance, which is a potential, notice I said potential, for EF2 damage or higher. Now, if I go on down to the wind threat for today, basically the same areas, all of northern Tennessee, at least northern western and middle Tennessee, all of Kentucky, most of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, into Michigan, have a 15% chance of seeing wind damage today. Outside of that is a 2%, so it's not 2%, a 5%, so it's not really much to worry with outside of that yellow zone. I mean, you could still see some hail, but it's not, or wind, it's not as likely. The hail threat for today, we see significant threat for hail in Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio, and a small part of Michigan. Tennessee, well, northern Tennessee at least, from West Tennessee through middle, and then part of northwestern East Tennessee, could still see a chance for at least some hail, but it's a 15% chance. Now, southern Tennessee and areas around have only a 5% chance for hail. This is all today. Now, tomorrow, that threat for thunderstorms, which this is today's, tomorrow's, that threat grows a lot. That's the map for tomorrow's threat, risk area. Breaking it down categorically is going to be different than today's as well. The tornado risk is in an area from Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, most of Kentucky, and into Tennessee. Now, the thing about that risk for tomorrow is if I click on that yellow area, that is a 10% significant tornado threat. That significant, again, is EF2 damage or higher. And you can tell that significant threat is because it's a hatched area. It's not just colored. Okay? The 5% risk is anywhere around that. And there's a 2% risk that surrounds, that kind of covers areas outside of it. Now, there is another 2% risk up in like Iowa and Minnesota, part of the Dakotas. That's for the tornado threat for tomorrow. Now, the wind threat is a much higher threat for tomorrow. A 30% wind damage threat for pretty much all of northern Tennessee. I mean, there's a little bit of Tennessee that's not underneath that 30. Down to Memphis, Arkansas, Texas, well, eastern Texas, southeastern Oklahoma. There's a lot of areas underneath the 30% wind threat for tomorrow. Going down to the hail threat. The hail threat is significant for the same areas, pretty much as the wind threat was. But that's a 30% hail threat for at least most of Tennessee, Kentucky, areas like that. So, I mean, it is a pretty significant threat for tomorrow. Pretty much all modes of severe weather. Now, this one does not have a, you can't break it down, but this is a day 3 threat. And it's showing us here in central Tennessee just general thunderstorms, so the worst of it's gone. Slight risk over where, Knoxville, East Tennessee. And then a slight risk, so marginal risk was East Tennessee, a slight risk pretty much from the coastal Virginia area down to the Carolinas, down through Georgia, southern Alabama, part of northern Florida, southern Mississippi, most of central and southern Louisiana, and back down to Texas. You cannot break down a day 3 risk because they do not have the thing categorized yet. But that's basically what we're looking at for the next few days. Stay safe, everyone.